what we have begun to learn about a 1 point perspective. As a refresher, there are three different types of perspectives. You have a 1 point perspective, a 2 point perspective, and a 3 point perspective. We will be covering that 1 point perspective drawing. And that is when we're taking a 2D drawing and we are creating more of that 3D realistic real life view or presentation drawing that portrays finished objects, and it duplicates what our eye or our camera actually sees. When you have perspective drawings, there are some characteristics that makes a perspective drawing different from a regular drawing. You have parallel lines that appear to get closer to one another into a distance and merge off into a distant point. That point is called our vanishing point. In a 1 point perspective, where you have a picture plane, the object lines will then begin to vanish off into that 1 point, which is known as that vanishing point, as shown here. You have a point that is created, and then you also have a plane. Picking spots on that plane, you will then draw and have lines going off into that vanishing point and see how they begin to form and come together as one. And you use these to form those parallel lines. There are two things that must be taken care of when you are preparing to draw your perspective drawing. You must have what we call a horizon line. An horizon line is a straight line that goes across the center of your paper, and that is the actual height of your eye or the viewer's eye when looking at an object or inside of an interior space or even an exterior scene. The vanishing point is that dot and that moment in which you have your receding lines or your parallel lines. They recede into that vanishing point to convey or show that they disappear. So what we're going to be doing is creating, again, this floor plan. So right now we have a 2D plan view. This plan view is a floor plan of a space. You have that size of the room, which is an 8 by 8, and it shows and calls out our different walls. So we're calling this the back wall because you are standing at the front of the room. You have your right wall, which has a window, and your left wall has a door. And then also you have some recessed lighting and then some type of pendant that hangs over a piece of furniture that is sitting at the back of the room. So what we need to do is take this 2D image or floor plan or plan view and bring it to life as if you are actually standing at the front of this room and you're looking back at the back wall, and you also have your right and left walls and your ceiling and your flooring above and beneath you. We're also going to draw this using a scale. So we're going to use a 1/2 inch scale. A lot of times when you see perspective drawings, they're not drawn to scale, they're usually free-handed. But as interior designers, we are going to get in a habit of learning to use our drawing scales. So taking my 1/2 inch scale, I am going to just create and start by creating this back wall, because you need to take what you're looking at and create an elevation view. So you need to draw a floor and a ceiling. So taking my 1/2 inch scale, I'm going to measure and create this wall. This wall is 8 feet in length, and I have a ceiling height of 8 feet. So placing my scale down on my page, I'm going to start by picking my point to where I have my 8 feet. And let's draw that first wall in here. So 8 feet in length, 8 feet in height, again using my scale, using all of my drawing tools. So now at this point, I have my wall drawn. I have my floor, and I have my ceiling. And then I also have the side of my right wall and the side of my left wall. Now what I just did was just go through my drawing and darken in and erase any things that I do not need. You will be erasing a lot when you are creating perspective drawings and using this technique. The next thing we need to do is create the height of the viewer, that actual eye, the line. And this line is going to be called our horizon line. The horizon line will lie in the center or from the view in which you're looking. So I want to be looking dead center at my back wall. So I'm going to measure up to the center, aligned through the back of my wall. So 4 feet is where I measured using my 1/2 inch scale. And now I'm going to draw just a really long line through the center of my back wall. Again, this line is called your horizon line. Now we need to create a vanishing point. That vanishing point is the point which receding parallel lines are viewed in the perspective will appear to converge or disappear. So to get your vanishing point, it is literally the center of your space. So once again, taking my 1/2 inch scale, I'm going to find the center from the top of my room, or I can place it right on the horizon line and measure. At that 4 feet, I am going to create a dot, and everything that I draw and see, this is where my eye goes to, right to this back part in the center of the room. And this line is called your vanishing point, which will be essential in completing this drawing. Having your horizon line and your vanishing point are the two most important lines and point in which you need to complete a successful 1-point perspective or any other perspectives. When you are having 2-point perspective, you will have 2 vanishing points in which your eye will meet in 1 horizon line. From here, we need to create a floor and a ceiling for our space. To do that, you can take your triangle and you want to just draw an X right through the vanishing point, through the edges of your square. So I'm just going to lightly draw these lines. You can extend them out as far as they need to go. And we're going to create something like X marks the spot. And remember, it has to be from the edge, the corner, through the vanishing point. If you look closely, what we have now just created is our ceiling and our floor. If I was to go ahead and darken in the line here, now I have created my floor and my ceiling. So below here is your floor line. And now up here is your ceiling. If you can look at it, you can see that you will be standing right here. So this is you, standing in the center of your room at the front, looking back at the wall. And as you can see, as these lines go into that vanishing point, the wall begins to come in and get smaller. You can either at this time choose to erase any of the interior lines that is on your back wall, or you can keep them. A line that I do not suggest erasing is this horizon line, because the horizon line is what is going to be our guide when we're taking measurements to be precise as we go further and draw things such as our window and our door on our right and our left walls. In creating our door that is located left of our wall, we would need to know what is that measurement from the edge of the door to the edge of the wall that sits in the back, which is our back wall in front of us. So if we knew that the measurement from the side of the door to the wall measured 6 feet, we would take our measurement off our horizon line into or on the left side of our wall. So using my 1/2 inch scale, I'm going to place my 0 right on the edge of the wall, and I'm going to measure over 7 feet, or what do we say? Let's say 6 feet in. So now I have made a mark of where my door will start. Then I also want to measure the distance for the opening of the door. If this is a standard door that is 3 feet wide, I'm going to start again where that line is for where my door starts and measure over 3 feet. So now I have 2 marks to go with. Taking my straight edge, I am going to draw a line lightly for now down to my floor line to show my door opening. But we need to know the height of the door. What is the height of our door from the floor up? If we go with a standard height of 7 feet, we would use our 1/2-inch scale. And now we're going to take the measurement off of our corner of the back of the wall so that we can receive the height. So we're going to place our 0 at this floor line, and we're going to measure up 7 feet and make our mark. Now we need our door to go in the same direction. We want it to be ascending back toward the vanishing point. So we're going to take our triangle to go ahead and draw a line from our point through the vanishing point. And because this door is closer to us, it will appear to be pretty large. It's actually kind of running into our floor plan, but that's okay. You know what? What we'll do for the example of this drawing is let's go ahead and shorten our door so it doesn't run into our floor plan example or reference that we have up top. So let's just say it's a small opening or a door that measures at 6 feet. I'm going to go ahead and erase this previous line that we just drew. And then again, take that vanishing point, line it up. Okay, it still goes into our drawing just a little bit, but not much. Now we have our door height. Once that is established, you can again darken in the lines, or you can darken them in further on in the drawing or more toward the end when you want to begin to define different areas. Again, you can take the time to erase everything that is not needed. Erasing these lines that lead to your vanishing point may help just to keep the drawing clean as you move forward. It is up to you if you want to have them erased now or later on. When you are trying to add floor trim to this room, you want to take your measurements again off of the back of your wall. You can measure the floor trim 3 inches and just draw in a marker. Again, using your vanishing point, you're going to take that marker and line it up so that you can draw your line straight through that vanishing point. As you begin to get further in your drawings and understand your vanishing point, you may not have any lines drawn in the inside of your space. You may be able to just go ahead and pick it up where it needs to be. Then you want to add your base trim on the back of your wall. And then also add it on the right side. Knowing where your marker is, where it ended, connecting it to your vanishing point. And now you have created base trim to your plan or your drawing that you are creating. Again, it will be up to you to darken in lines now or later. I just want to go ahead and darken mine in now for the purpose of this demonstration. Okay. When you want to add things such as door trim, your measurements and the way you take your measurements again would be the same. You're into the left side of your wall. You're going to concentrate on taking your measurements off your horizon line. Using your 1/2 inch scale, you can just simply measure right over from the side of the door. I'm just measuring 2 inches of door trim on both sides. And when I need to add the door trim to the top, I will go back to, I wouldn't measure here. I will go back to where I have the exact scale and measure up from that point of the door and make my mark. Taking my triangle, lining this point up with my vanishing point, I can then show now that I have trim at the top of my door, lining this up and drawing a line straight down and connecting it to the top trim. And then I can repeat that on the opposite side of my drawing of my door. Again, going through and erasing any lines that is obstructing my drawing that I do not need. And I just like to erase a little bit here and a little bit there. From here, if I want to draw in some flooring detail, and let's say I wanted to put in some wood plank flooring, again, I would take the measurements off the back of this wall using my 1/2 inch scale or whatever the wood planking is scaled to. I would make those measurements. And for now, I'm just going to say they're a 1/2 inch apart of wood plank flooring. And what I am doing is I have my 1/2 inch scale placed down on the front, on the bottom of my flooring, and I'm just making the marks at each point 1/2 inch spaces. And now that I have these guide marks created, I'm going to take my triangle and draw a line through them from my vanishing point. Lining this up so that it goes through the middle of the vanishing point, through that mark, that point that is made. I can begin to draw in my wood planking. Notice how the spacing is evenly spaced because I've made that measurement spot on, and I'm using that vanishing point as a guide, and every line, parallel line that comes towards you is getting bigger the closer it is to where you are standing, and is vanishing off into the distance. So now we have some lines that represent wood planking. And eventually you can give it some grain and some shading and some shadowing as we move forward. If, for instance, you wanted to create tile flooring, you will go the same route as you did here, but how would you get these lines across? Would you measure here and just start drawing lines over? No, you would use your horizon line from up above. And again, you will take the measurements off of your horizon line, placing your scale there and making your marks for the measurements. I'm going to make 1/2 inch marks. And then you will take your straight line or your straight edge and give yourself a guideline. Have a mark there. And you're coming straight down to your floor line with these lines straight. Probably trying to figure out, what are we going to do? How is this drawing on our wall going to create for us tile flooring? Well, what we have created now is our marks where we're going to go ahead and draw that horizontal line. So taking your parallel bar, you can now evenly meet those points and draw your horizontal lines straight across. And now you have evenly placed tile flooring. And notice how the tile is receding the further it goes back into your drawing. And you would do this all the way through. So you can have either tile flooring or wood flooring or any other flooring or patterns and designs. All of your measurements will come off of your horizon line. I always like to say that your horizon line, and just have a little note that this is what you measure from. And another area that you measure from is also along your side walls. Because this perfect square rectangle of the size of your room is true to size, and everything is going to come off of the back point of this wall, considering your vanishing point and your horizon line as well. As we continue to move forward in the video, in this demonstration, I would like to also discuss about applying recess or lighting fixtures. When you are considering drawing lighting fixtures, I like to say that you would just simply draw a line straight up into your ceiling space, straight from your vanishing point. Knowing what the measurements are for your recessed lighting, you can then use your horizon line to measure over how far from the center of the room does your recessed lights lie, either from the center or the edge, or you can even measure or know the measurements from the left or the right walls. So let's say that our recessed lights were placed 2 feet in from the right and the left walls. So taking my 1/2 inch scale, I'm going to measure to 2 feet and I'm going to make a mark. And I'm going to do that as well on the left hand side. I'm then going to take my line, my straight edge, and just draw a line lightly up. Now I know that my recessed lights sits in, let's say, about another 2 feet from the ceiling. So what I am doing is just drawing me another horizontal guideline. I know that I have my distance here. So what I'm going to do is take that and draw me a horizontal line, or excuse me, a guideline through my vanishing point, because I know that X marks the spot there and X marks the spot on this side. And I can begin to draw in my first recessed light. Now, when we're drawing in a recessed light, when you have a perspective drawing, you're not going to draw this in as a circle. Your circles appear more in an ellipse or oval format when you're creating them on a perspective drawing. My second light, I'm going to slide this up. My second light that is further or closer to myself, where you will be standing, has a distance as well. So you would need to know what that measurement is. If they're even, it will be another 2 feet. So what you would then do is measure out another 2 feet using your 1/2 inch scale on both sides, making your marks, and then you would draw your line up. Now your line should run directly through. I'm going to extend this, and you can see where your next mark is. And you can create your recessed lighting. Again, once you're all set with adding in your recessed lighting, you can then begin to erase what you don't need. So all of those wonderful guidelines that we have drawn in would then begin to get erased. You can erase them now or later. And I'm just erasing a lot more of these lines that I kind of wanted to remove, but I just kind of waited. So far our drawing is now beginning to look like our 2D plan view. We have our back wall drawn, we have our recessed lighting, we have our door in, we even have some rendering for our flooring as well.